Hello, my wild and beautiful creators. Welcome back for another lesson. Today we are going to take the collograph that we created last lesson and we are going to cover it with foil. And then we are going to color on this foil using washable markers and create some colorful prints. So what you're going to need today for this project is the cardboard collograph that you created out of some recycled cardboard. You're also going to need several different colors of markers, a piece of aluminum foil. It can be a recycled piece or a new piece, either's fine. Some paper, a container of water, and either a paper towel, a sponge, or a washcloth. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, I have my collograph of my wacky bird I created last week, and I have a piece of aluminum foil. Now what you want to do is cover your bird completely with the foil. And the way that you're going to do that, it doesn't matter, you can use either side of the foil, but you're going to lay that foil completely flat on your bird. And you're going to kind of press down a bit, and then you're going to take those edges and you're going to fold them over and really press the edge. Flip it up, fold it over. It's like you're wrapping up some wacky leftovers with this aluminum foil. Make sure those edges are really pressed over. Okay. And you can see how it's bent around the back of my piece of cardboard. That's going to hold it there in place. If you want to add some tape to the back, you can, but you definitely don't have to. Now, the next thing I want to do is start smoothing and pressing down with my finger, and I'm going to start finding my bird. See how here's his little tail feathers coming up? So I'm going to keep smoothing with my finger, really pressing down till every piece of my bird is showing up through my aluminum foil. It's like I'm giving my bird a really epic massage. There's his eye and his beak and his feathers. All right, so now I can see my bird through my tin foil or aluminum foil. There he is. The next thing I'm going to do is grab some markers and I'm going to color the surface of this foil with my markers. So I'm going to take right here and I'm going to start coloring those triangles. And you'll see that your marker is not going to show up super dark. That is fine. It will be much darker once you print it on your piece of paper. You'll also notice that the marker looks a little bit wet on the paper, and that is fine too. And you'll notice as I color on my bird, I'm rotating around my piece of foil, and that just makes it easier for me to get to those areas to color. You also want to make sure that you're not touching the areas you've colored with your fingers because it will smear and get up on your fingers. So just hold it by the edges. I'm also making sure to not touch my two colors together too much. I don't want to smear those colors. And now I'm going to color the background. So I'm just going around my wacky bird. And I colored my bird with warm colors, and now I'm using a cool color for the background. I didn't even do it on purpose. It just kind of was what I chose. You can use any colors you would like. You could even draw kind of a wild looking background around your bird if you wanted to. Make sure again that you are not touching this foil where the marker is, or it will definitely smear onto your fingers. All right, now that my bird is completely colored along with the background, the next thing I'm going to need is my piece of paper. I'm going to be using a washcloth, but if you want to use a sponge or a paper towel, that's fine. And then I just have a plastic cup of water. I'll slide my bird up just a bit. I need to get the surface of this paper wet. I don't want it soaking wet because then that paper is going to rip and kind of tear, but I just want to make sure it's wet enough so that the ink will transfer from the foil to my paper. So I'm going to take my washcloth, dip it in my water, make sure I squeeze out all that extra water. You really don't want it too wet, just kind of damp. I'm going to take that wet, I'm going to wipe down my entire piece of paper. The whole paper needs to be wet. Just on one side though. You don't have to wet both sides. Just one side. Okay, that should be plenty wet. Now, take my bird that I have colored with my marker, paper wet side turned down, and I'm going to place it over my bird. Now, once it has touched this bird, you cannot pick it up and reposition it. You have to hold it still with one hand, and you're going to take your other hand and with your finger, you're going to massage that bird again, just like you massaged him the first time when you were flattening out the foil. And it's kind of a magical process. You can start to see the ink coming through a little bit on the paper. Keep going around and rubbing that bird. Give him a massage. And make sure you're rubbing the edges too. I'm using this hand now to hold my paper still. I don't want that paper to slide around or move, or else my image will smear. I'm going to make sure I have smoothed every part of the paper. Make sure I get his feet, his body. And I know now that it's ready to bring up because I can see the image of my bird all throughout my white paper. Here's the magic. Peel up. Voila! Look at our awesome bird. And it's printed in the reverse facing direction. Isn't that kind of cool? So if I want to print this again, all I have to do, sit this off to dry, is take my wet, you can use paper towel, sponge. This is an old washcloth. If you're going to use a washcloth, make sure you ask your parents before you go grabbing a washcloth for this. But take that damp surface and you can just wipe over the foil and clean it off this way. And once it's dry, you can take those same markers and color it again and pull another print. And you can do this as many times as you want. That's a really fun thing about using this Collograph printmaking method. You can make tons of birds. All right. And now I am ready to color again and pull another print. And I've got my awesome print right here. Thanks so much for joining me. Hope you had a blast. I hope you guys enjoyed making your prints. Now remember, after you have covered your Collograph with the foil, you can color it with your marker, pull a print, and then clean it off with a wet paper towel or a washcloth. And once it's dry, you can color it again with different colors, different choices, pull another print, clean it off, and just keep going. So you can pull as many of these prints as you would like. Can't wait to see you guys next week for our next project coming up. See you soon, guys. Have a great week. Bye.